Welcome, everyone. Welcome to The Confident Visionary, how to build your network to scale your business. Thanks for joining me here tonight. I know it's a big night. There's a lot on those streaming platforms and some debates, etc., etc. And you're here with me. So I respect that everybody is here to build, scale, and grow. And tonight, and we're looking at the component of building your network that supports the key option in scaling your business. I believe in 100% interaction, so feel free to jump in, raise your hand, want to share a story that's resonating with you, want to have a question. Let's play this open. Got it? So I'll start by introducing myself. I am Ivy Slater. I am the CEO of a company called Slater Success. I am a speaker, an author. My most recent book is From the Bar to the Boardroom, Conquering Your Fear of Money. That's so funny. From the Bar to the Boardroom, Choreographing Business Success Through Authentic Relationships. And my book before that is Conquering Your Fear of Money, A Woman's Guide to Business Success. I am currently excited to share. I'm starting to work on book number 3. I also have a podcast. It's called Her Success Story, where we have interviews with amazing, gutsy women leaders and those few exceptional men. We have a lot coming down the pike in the podcast in the next 12 months. There's going to be some moving, grooving, changing, rebranding, and moving forward. So that's all really exciting stuff. As I'll always say, in my day job, I'm a coach, a consultant. I work with companies in scaling and growing. We look at top tier leadership and how the influence of great leadership supports a company in scaling and growing. And we're going to be presenting on next week with some growth strategies, visions, and immediate implementations. Because when I present, I always teach something that you can do that day that will begin to make a difference. So thank you for joining me here today. And we're going to be covering later on what you can be doing today in making a difference. There's a little tip there that what I can do attitude is trait number 7 in great leadership, and that's going to be joining me next Thursday here at Spark. I don't know if any of you really know what this picture is, but it's actually one of my favorites, okay? What success would you like to see in the next 6 months of your business, your life, your career? What would you need to improve in order to achieve this success? So that's what I want you guys to start thinking about, ladies and gentlemen. Feel free, jot down some notes, share it with me. This photo is picture from Willy Wonka, and it's when that golden ticket to success. And why do I share this? Because I truly, truly believe that great relationships, strong relationships, relationships that's built over time, add value to you as a human being are the key components to true success. It's the relationships that is that golden ticket. Anytime you're pivoting, and 2020 there has been a lot of pivots around this year. Anytime you're expanding, you're growing, you're taking on new things, you're going into new directions. The relationships that you have cultivated in your lifetime is that piece that's that golden ticket for you. Okay. When we look at a picture of, sportsmanship, Serena Williams, whether it be Wimbledon in England and you're coming in there, whether it be New York's tennis, Australia's tennis, it doesn't matter, but it's true the authentic relationship. If you think about tennis for a moment, you're actually seeing people who have been traveling the world together. They might be competing in that moment, but they're a community, and it's how that community moves forward together. The greatest relationships are relationships that are about give and take, right? Some days you win, some days I win. Some days we might be practicing together, Some days we might be competing against each other. Relationships are the best when they're win-win, right? It doesn't matter who always takes first place. It's what you're building together, that you both get something out of it. And the greatest successes we see in relationships is relationships that are created in win-win environments. I never really believed in faking it. I never believed in inauthenticity. I think authenticity is one of the most important things in business, to be transparent, authentic, relatable. In that, leave that whole fake it till you make it out the door. Dump it out your window now. It does not serve you. When things are truly authentic, real, honest, that's where you have real growth, real long-term potential. I think faking it, there's a red flag. When you're actually speaking to somebody and you're like, oh, I don't know about this. I don't know, where they are, how they are. Are they real? The second that radar goes off, I'll always put those antennas up, for lack of a better way. When that antenna goes up, I take a pause and I take a breath and I was like, is this real? Is this true? And that's very important in developing real relationships. Anybody have any examples of when they've been in a situation they've kind of felt a relationship is not authentic? So in that way, if we think about the impact of the principles of the 5 people that we surround ourselves with, it has such an impact on where we're going and how we're living our lives, the businesses we're developing. When you surround yourself with supportive, innovative, ambitious, people who are the visionaries of the world, you too start taking on these traits. When you surround yourself with people who show up with inauthenticity, you will start appearing fake yourself. So just a little tip, something to heighten your level of awareness. A bunch of years ago, I was asked to run a round table. And as people were introducing themselves, this is one of the things that happened. Everybody sat there very politely, with that smile and their stack of business cards in front of them and saying, my name is Ivy Slater. I run a company called Slater Success. We help companies scale and grow. Okay, that's truly what was going on. We went around once and I was just like, oh my goodness, we have to break this right now. And I said, okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do that again. We're going to actually now introduce ourselves, and we're going to start with introducing what is one thing you do for fun. It's like, say your name and say one thing you do for fun. Then you could introduce your company. Okay, that little piece shifted the entire environment. It started with, oh, I love to salsa dance. Another person leaned forward and said, like, really? I salsa dance. Where do you go? I was like, okay, slow down. We're going to get there, right? The next person said, well, I'm more of an introvert. I have to tell you that I'm not so comfortable here. I'm an avid reader. And somebody else said, oh, I belong to a book group. I'm a reader too. Well, by the time we got around the table, that everybody started with what they do for fun in a way of breaking down and creating relationships, transform the entire rest of that round table to a community. When, the dings went off and we had to go into the next session, they weren't leaving. They were all staying. They had more to say, more to do, more to experience, more to share. It wasn't even about exchanging a business card and say, oh, I know somebody to introduce you to for business. It was like, oh, let's continue the conversation. When are we getting together? Let's have coffee. Who else is going to join in? And the group was bonded because it came together with something personal versus something surface. So in creating true relationships, you have the ability to create real success. And in creating authentic, real relationships, you have the ability to build a business relationship that will last and transcend a lifetime, make a long-term impact, long-term growth, long-term resources. Here's an example. I had sold a roundtable, with this whole COVID thing, you kind of lose track of time. It was the end of last year. It was a small little roundtable I was doing with a small group of people about goal setting for 2020. I know, who knew this is what the goals we were going to be reaching in 2020. And I put it out to my community, and I said, this is not something you could sign up for without a conversation with me, because I'm very protective of the people who come to work with me, right? You have to be real, you have to be authentic, you have to be true, right? I don't want to fake at any program, especially a small group program. So the next thing I know in my inbox is an email from somebody who I knew 17 years ago. And I was like, oh my goodness. And we got back, we jumped on the phone. I was so excited from her. And I was like, oh, and I'm just going to call her Mary. I never use real names when I present. Mary, it's so great to hear from you. What's going on? So Mary and I met because our sons were in first or second grade together. Got it? They grew up in the same neighborhood. I knew she ran a business. I had no idea her business partner died in the last couple of years, and she is rebranding and redoing this whole business, right? And she goes, wow, this could really be a great thing for me to participate in. I wanted to talk to you more about that. I was like, great. Let's do the family catch up first. Where are these kids? Where are the kids? Where's your husband? How it's going on? And we did this whole catch up, and she came to the program. And it was wonderful to see her. And even more important than that, it was wonderful that the direction she walked away with to build her business forward this year. It was the personal relationship that went back through our kids that brought us back together 17, 18 years later. Real relationships, true people in your life bring value. Never judge, well, this is a personal thing, this is a business thing. Be the whole life existence and move that forward. So, as I'm saying, relationships transcend business and pleasure, right? A great way to look at this is business golf outings. Business golf outings are the great way over 4 hours, a meal, some cocktails, whatever that looks like. It might be coffee and breakfast in the morning. It might be something else. But you get an opportunity to share an experience with somebody, build real relationships over something that's common, and then build business from there. So it could be your kids at school. It could be golf, tennis, pickleball. I've started taking up pickleball in the last couple of years, if we have any pickleball players in the room. What else? It could be cards. It could be walking. It could be a walking group. It could be a book club. What are your interests? And how can your interests support you in building true relationships that transcend the personal and the business? They're people-to-people relationships. A bunch of years ago, my kids were getting older, and I finally said, okay, I have an opportunity at night to go do something for myself. And I wanted to take a jewelry making, a beading class. Well, every Monday night I went to the local Y, and there was a group of us, and before you know it, after class 1 or 2, people were bringing a bottle of wine, and we'd learn a little bit, and we'd bead a little bit. And of course, we talked about, what do you do during the day? Oh, I'm an attorney. Oh, I'm a CPA. I'm a financial planner. I'm a coach consultant. And we formed a community. What is interest in your life that transcends? Let go of judgment around this and get into action. It's important to be authentic, as I've said, and it's really important now, especially this year more than ever. There's amazing amounts of different variety of platforms. Spark, which is a new platform, which is giving us abilities to network, meet, and communicate with people at small group tables, one-on-one, enjoy fireworks, enjoy great presentations and learning together. There's Zoom, there's Teams, there's so many StreamYard out there, so much going on. Key is you can't hide anymore. So how are you going to be showing up? And you want to be able to position yourself for success. Okay? I open my video screen so you can see me. So I know I am presenting live. Every time we go to any kind of virtual meeting, we want to be conscious of how we're showing up, because now this is talking about our brand, right? What are we looking like? As women, do we put a little makeup on? Do we always, personally, wear lipstick? When you're on any kind of video screen, your lips are visible. You want to be seen, right? You want people to really hear what you're saying. Part of our hearing comes from lip reading without even realizing it. So put a little lipstick on. Dress appropriately for business meetings. Do not dress inappropriately for business meetings. If you do have pajama pants and slippers, or yoga pants, or casual pants and slippers on the bottom, your top should be professional. Show up as you would as if you're walking into a meeting. This is your brand, your business that you're representing. Take it seriously. Put the effort in. The effort you put into everything you do is the results you see at the end. So in building relationships and showing up in any kind of camera situation, show up looking your brand. Hey, if your brand is Nike, wear Nike. If your brand is, tennis, wear tennis, right? Be conscious of how you're showing up in this virtual world today and what that represents. Another really important point, and I didn't want to miss this, okay, is just because many of us are working from home environments, working from virtual or remote environments, doesn't mean we don't show up with an agenda of what we're going to cover. So every time you have a meeting, don't just be hanging out, ready to, shoot the breeze. What is the purpose of the meeting? If we're getting to know new relationships, if we're establishing or touching base on older relationships, right? Have a beginning, middle, and end. I'll look at it as a cadence of that meeting. If your other partner in the meeting, or several people do not, you make sure you do, right? Okay, let's open this up. So let's everybody share one thing that's new going on in their world this fall. What are you doing for fun right now, right? What are you watching on Netflix? What are you reading? What game are you playing, right? Who has been out seeing fall foliage if you're in any of the northern states, right? Share something. Then what's the next thing? Okay, what is the new business on the table? Who are you looking? How has your business shifted or changed this year? Is your family safe? How is remote learning going? Come in with an agenda, with questions to create the next level of this relationship. Don't just come in with saying, hey, what's going on? You determine your success, so work it. Be conscious, have a format. You don't have to be asking about, what their sales are this year, but you can say, what are you doing in your business this year? What's the impact of a pandemic on your business? How has this affected how you guys are working? What is your culture? What are you working on right now? Ask these really open-ended questions that gets people sharing with you. And as they continue to share with you, they're leaning in. This is becoming a very memorable experience for them. That is going to build this relationship forward. For those of you, either if you know this brand, or if your spouses, other halves, partners, wives, girlfriends know this brand, this is a client of mine, and this client has been built on what I'll refer to as a 7-figure relationship. So let me share a little bit about that. What a 7-figure relationship looks like. So I would say we go back since I was a printer and she was the director of advertising for a French company with offices in the New York offices in the United States. Okay. I will say this has to be probably close to 20 years ago. We were doing two big jobs for them every year and a lot of little work. They were one of my nice clients, not one of my largest clients, but a good regular client for several years. Then, as if any time that you have manufacturing, and printing is manufacturing, you have that job that goes bad. Okay, paper came in bad. The registry of the prep was bad, the ink was, you name it, we touched it, it was bad, right? We went to score the pieces, to fold them, the scoring cracked because the paper had not enough moisture in it. You name it, it happened. By the time the job was done, our client wasn't happy, and I don't blame them. We sat down, we had that conversation when a client's not happy. She said, you know what, Ivy, you've done right by us for a long time. I really like you, but I'm sorry, based on what came down, you're off our vendor list. So I could have said, I'm done, and walked away. That's not a true relationship, right? Because I had a person-to-person relationship with this person. Our brands came to a stop at that moment, but we didn't as people. So what continued to happen was I stayed in touch with her. And a couple of years later, shockingly, she moved jobs. I picked up the phone and I called her. Hey, how's it going? How's this new place? I'd love to see you. We had coffee. Coffee developed into, this happened to be about 2008. I shared with her that I was opening a second company and what Slater Success was looking like. And how excited I was to run a company like this as well as my printing company. Because, oh my goodness, well, you have to get involved in this, and the other thing, and I'm going to introduce you here, and you'll come speak right at this, and I'll get you right involved with all these leadership teams. Wonderful. One thing led to another, and business started building. Maybe not for Slater Graphics in that moment, but for Slater Success. We continued to stay in touch, and other opportunities lent to itself. A few years later, she reached out to me and said, hey, you in the city on Saturday, let's have lunch. Lunch Saturday with an old client? There must be a reason. So of course I showed. In showing up, we had a lovely lunch. First time she treated me to lunch, and because she was not my client in this very moment, and it was amazing experience. And she said, I'm thinking of opening up my own marketing agency. I'd love to talk to you about that. Well, did I mention I help companies scale and grow? They said, sure, let's talk about it. She goes, I'm thinking maybe you can help me out. So we talked about that a little bit. And then I shared the family or old client rate. And she was like, oh my God, absolutely not. It's a little stifling for her. She goes, but what I can thinking about, she goes, let me think about this. And she came back to me and she said, I have a couple of friends who could really use to work with you as well. What if I put this group together and we all split that kind of fee? And I said, we can work something like that out. I basically got paid to write my very first group program. That lasted for 9 months. It was lovely revenue and lovely development. Wonderful, check, check, and check. Goes into that 7 figures that we're continuously adding on. Jump forward again a couple of years and I get an email. Can you talk this evening? So I jumped on the phone with her and she said, I'm being recruited for a global brand for director, director of wholesale sales for the United States. I'd love to have your support. I said, okay, what are you looking for support in? Well, I'd be the first woman in this role, and I want to make sure that I'm really negotiating in my top form, and I'm paid and end up with the goal of exactly what the guys are making. I said, okay, I'm not an attorney. I don't see where I can help you here in contract negotiations. I said, you know what, Ivy, I've been following your newsletters weekly for years. and you write about the importance of women and their value and speaking up and making sure equal pay, equal opportunity, charging equally, and our inner confidence is one of the most important pieces. And I have written about this for years because I'm passionate about this. Okay. And she goes, I know, I want you in my corner that when I'm discussing things with them, I'm showing up at my top form. I said, great, you got me. She goes, what are you going to charge? I said, nothing. She goes, I know you, Ivy, in business a long time. I'm going to question that. You go get this job. It's in 100% alignment in your goals, your vision for your life, where you want to go next. I'm happy to help you. It's a couple of phone calls, and I think we'll both win when you land. She goes, I hear you loud and clear. She landed that job, and I was introduced to this company called Van Cleef and Arpels that later became a client. Actually, not that much later became a client, where I did trainings, workshops, seminars, and coaching. She has gone on, and she's now president of another global brand, president of North and South America for this global brand. And again, I've done business with that brand as well. So it's why I share this story is it's the long-term relationship that has the greatest value. It's your greatest piece in success. It's what's going to take you through the long term of success. Any questions or comments so far? Feel free to either unmute yourselves or raise your hand. Okay, jumping forward. So in the boardroom, yeah, I'm giving, guys, up on the screen is a complimentary chapter for the book. If you'd like to buy the book, it's available on Amazon. You could talk to me further about it. But here's the deal. I'm about to give you one of the most important exercises in the book. So stay tuned, okay? I look at it as the connection challenge, okay? I shared with you stories so far, right? And I shared with you the story of my son's friend's mom from second grade. I shared with you the story of an old client. So let's look at all the places we have relationships. So here's how this goes. Action is you identify a goal you want to achieve, whether it be bring in a new client, do something for your business, find a new accountant, a new attorney, somebody who might salsa dance, right? Whatever it is. Big goal, small goal is irrelevant. Identify the goal. Then start looking at your relationships, okay? Look at your community members. Okay? Are you involved in any community or religious organizations? Are you involved in any charities or nonprofits? Are you on any boards? God bless Facebook. Who's in your high school Facebook group? Where are they and what are they doing? I can't make this stuff up. I've been hosting these calls that's called How to Be a Visionary Leader in Unexpected Times through the whole COVID experience in 2020. It's just an open phone call for people to come together and talk business. My feeling early on in this pandemic is the more we come together and talk business, the more businesses will grow, keep stable, have a community to brainstorm with and move forward through. Well, in one of these calls, somebody says, we go around, everybody introduce yourself, take 15 seconds. She goes, Ivy, my name is Stacy this. She goes, you don't know me as under this name. You know me under this name. We went to Baldwin High School together. Well, I had to take a deep breath. Wow. Right? She goes, I've been seeing you promoting these and I'm running a nonprofit. I'm executive director. I wanted to know more. I thought this was a great forum to talk business in. So who are those? Who did you go to high school with? Who did you go to college with? Did you go to any professional? Did you go to law school? Did you go to medical school? Did you get an MBA? Did you do any certification programs? Anything post-college that actually would bring you in worlds of community, right? Networking groups. Who are in your groups? Do you actually engage, not just showing up for the group, but actually do those 1, 2, or 3 calls, meaning a group of one-on-one, 1, 3, they call them triads, actually truly getting to know people. And then think about those hobbies we were talking about before, the hobbies and activities that you do. Who are the people in this world? If you're looking for something to add value or you're working towards a goal, work your relationships, connect to people. See where they are, what's going on in their world. One of the assignments I gave one of my clients early on in March, she was a little nervous. You know, she's led through difficult times before, unexpected times, uncertain times, crisis times. She's a long-standing leader. And she was truly feeling flashbacks of the 2008-2009 recession. She goes, I don't want to go here. She goes, I'm too old for this kind of stress, was her expression. Okay, she's not old at all. Be that as it may, right? I said, well, let's get into action. She goes, well, what do you want me to do? I said, I want you to get your client roster for this past year, right? For the last 12 months. And I want you to pick up the phone and call every single person. She goes, what do you want me to say? You want me to ask for business? Isn't that kind of rude right now? I said, no, I want you to pick up the phone and say, hey, where are you? Are you safe? Are you doing okay? How's your family? How are your little ones during this time? Oh, I know, how are your parents, right? Because when we have real relationships with people, we know what's going on in their world. How's your office, right? How are the people who are working for you? What have you put into place for remote or virtual work? How are you doing during this time of virtual and remote? Be more interested than interesting and show you care. When time for business comes up, who are they going to be reaching out to? They're going to call you. They're going to think of you because you're top of mind and you showed up for them. So know how important this is. I also, people say, hey, Ivy, I don't always know what to do with all these relationships. How do I keep it up? How do I keep it moving forward? And I'll always say, I like you to introduce you to Ivy's 3 I's. Make an introduction to somebody. Share information with people. Invite somebody somewhere. So, as I'm giving you 100% real stories, okay, I'm just going to share a couple of things that went on in the last 2 days in my life. First, I made an introduction to 2 people earlier today. I was talking to a client out Seattle Way, Washington State, and she was sharing something she was working on. And I was like, oh my goodness, I know this person in Minnesota, you must meet. I think you guys are going to adore each other and really hit it off, but also be great resources for each other. She goes, oh, share a little bit about her. And I did. And she goes, please, please, please make that introduction. Actually, that got on its way before I'm doing this presentation. Yesterday I'm part of a networking group. I do network. I don't just teach networking. I do practice what I preach. And I'm very involved in 2 different groups. Well, somebody introduced me to an attorney down in Florida who's in some interesting transitions and interesting development right now. And I said, she should be at this group. We have a great group of attorneys that would be a great resource for her. I invited her last night. And then when I got home at the end of the evening, right after the end of virtual, I shot her a quick email. Hey, I'd love to hear about what you thought of the group, right? Who did you meet? Who would you like to have further introductions to? How can I help you? And as for information, think about this. One of my clients is ready to expand. They're ready to hire. Okay, and they need to hire quick, right? Things are happening really fast right now. So she goes, well, by the time we do the whole Indeed thing or get a recruiter, we do this, it's a process, Ivy. And I said, okay, how about we look at this differently? Let's get together the top tier leadership team. So we looked at her top 3 in her leadership team who are in courts, networks, and just do a variety of things. What if they each created what I'll refer to as a hot list of great people they know? And they did an email to this hot list and say, we're looking to hire. This is what we're looking for. I know I respect you enormously, and I thought you might be able to connect me to some people that could be a good fit. Well, I'm going to tell you, in less than 2 weeks, they have had interviews, team interviews, assessments, and they are ready to move forward early November. As opposed to having a 60 to 90-day process, they are doing this in a matter of weeks because they're using their network. Your network is your net worth. It's up to you to embrace it. So think about who you should be making introductions to. Look around you. We have some great people in this room. Who have you asked who they're looking to meet next and then gone through your mental Rolodex to see how you can help them? What information? So yes, I touch a lot of people, but then I might see an article and say, oh, this is the perfect article to share with this person. So you might say, oh, you're always Ivy. It probably is in Inc. or Forbes. Maybe, but it also could be in the local garden magazine, okay? I'm a weekend gardener. A couple of my peers are also weekend gardeners. We will exchange YouTube videos, okay? Hey, did you see you can plant wildflowers in the fall in the cold weather? We now have a little thing going between a few different of us, right? Because relationships transcend business and personal. People you want to stay top of mind to. Don't just know them as business people, know them as human beings. Know what their interests are. If you read a good book, if you've seen a great TED Talk, share it with them. Share that information and invite them places. Think about including people where we're going. Even as we're going around things virtually, one of the things I did is I shared a picture of my avatar in front of my trade show booth here at Spark out on social media. My clients were commenting on it. They thought it was hysterical. They're like, this is so cool, right? You'll see somebody who commented on that. Share things forward. We're living in a little bit of a different world, and this is part of our evolution moving forward. Look at as we evolve forward, and this is going to be a hybrid world of an in-person and a remote virtual world. As we move into the next evolution, take these principles to heart and take them forward. So I can't teach all of this without giving you some basic strategies, secrets, tips on how to keep everything organized, okay? Because I meet a lot of people and it can become overwhelming, as well as we all meet a lot of people and it can become overwhelming. So back in the day, I had what it's on this slide as my anchors, right? I had that big Rolodex and I had the index card system. Okay, so I would have the cards and I would have notes on the cards, and then I'd have an index card that would have January through December in tabs, and then I would speak to Joe in January. I'd make a Joe. Joe's going on a wonderful trip to blank, blank, and blank, and this date. Circle back to him the beginning of March, and then Joe's card would go in March, and when I would look at the end of February, what am I doing in March? I was like, Joe's just back from vacation. Let's see how that was. What was his favorite things about his trip? That's how I did it back in the day. I've been in sales for, I'll just say over 25, probably over 30, maybe more than that years now. I know I started at 13. Now we have to evolve forward, okay? Now we have CRM systems. We have Excel sheets. If your Excel sheet is getting too complex and you're getting lost in it, it's becoming unmanageable, move it to a CRM system. The one important thing in whatever system you're using is that you have a system that reminds you when you should be reaching back out. If you're using your CRM system strategically, it's going to tell you that on October 23rd, I should be reaching out to this, this, and that. If that's not your habit, put it back on your own calendar. I'm a calendar-centric person, and I like notes on my calendar and I put it in my 6 a.m. slot, okay? Because basically at 6 a.m., I'm either showering, meditating, or something like that. So if I keep that slot and I put in the calls and the reach outs I'm going to be doing that day. If I spoke to Joe right now, and I know I want to circle back with Joe, probably maybe a little before Thanksgiving, I'm going to find that date. Maybe it's November 17th, and I have no idea what day of the week that is, but let's say it's a weekday. And I put in that 6 a.m. slot. Reach out to Joe regarding blank. Help yourself, help others, help yourself in your own business. Be on brand, and that comes back to authenticity. When I talk about being on brand, I'm talking about know who you are as a brand and how you're showing up in your relationships. Are you Nike or Adidas? Are you Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts? See, there's no right or wrong, and everybody loves Dunkin' Donuts and everybody loves Starbucks. Or actually, to be clearer on that, some people love Starbucks, some people love Dunkin' Donuts, some people love Tim Hortons, right? What is your go-to? But know that and incorporate it and own what you know and love, right? Who is your brand? You know, honestly, my brand at Slater Success has been that I usually present in a dress. I was trying in the changing room to figure out how to find a dress. I don't know if it's not there, or maybe we'll pull that off in our next week's presentation. Okay? Who is your brand and how are you showing up? It's the way you show up consistently and everywhere. If you're a Starbucks person, you drink Starbucks iced coffee and hot coffee. You're going to like their sandwiches. You're going to like their snacks, right? It's going to become your go-to. It's going to show up in a variety of different ways, okay? If you're a Nike person, you might wear Nike sneakers as well as you like the Nike exercise gear, and right? Who is your brand and how are you showing up in it? When's the last time that you looked in that mirror and really looked at all aspects of the brand you show up at? That same brand shows up at networking events authentically. Client meetings, old clients have been there a long time who know you well, and new clients and the people who are getting to know you. There's no fakeness, it's 100% transparency. So if you think about who is your brand, how do you show up? In what way? Why? My brand, whether I'm in a dress or not, is usually I present in a bright color, right? Whether it's my avatar in front of you in that brighter blue or me on video in red, right? Who's your brand, how you're showing up. Give it some thought, and please feel free to share how you're going to continue to show up in your brand and where the ahas are in this concept for you. You know, I can't help who I am. I'm a coach, I'm a consultant. So as a coach, you're getting an assignment. Possibility and opportunity, okay? So I'd like everybody to take a moment, take a deep breath in. In that way, identify 3 people from your connections, might be in this room, might be in Spark, might not, who you can be reaching out to, but in the next 24 hours that will help you build relationships of value to you. Take a moment, write them down. Think about, are you going to do that today, tonight, tomorrow morning? Write them down, put it in your calendar when you're going to actually take that action, and feel free to let me know what that action is. The important thing in supporting in growth is that we actually take consistent actions. The biggest secret in scaling and growing anything is about the consistency of action. So feel free to stay connected to me. Please pop into slatersuccess.com. You could download 7 great leaders. You could download a free chapter of From the Bar to the Boardroom, Choreographing Business Success Through Authentic Relationships. You could check out our podcast at Her Success Story. We're available on all platforms, Libsyn, iTunes, Stitcher, etc., etc. Most important, connect. Stay connected, reach out. Give us the opportunity, that means us, you and I, to truly get to know each other. I'm here and on this stage today because I've gotten to know people who then invited me here, because we had true conversations that led from step 1 to step 2 to step 3. There's your dance, there's your waltz. Questions, comments, and takeaways. I'll leave that up if anybody wants to download it. You can see it on the other screen. I also want to mention I am going to be back next week. Okay, I'm here next Thursday, the 29th at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, where I'm going to be talking about the confident visionary, how to lead, build, run, and scale your business successfully. So if you've enjoyed today's presentation, if you have things that have resonated with you, actions that you can take, join me next Thursday, where we're going to get into nuts and bolts of growing, running, and scaling a business. We're going to be looking at the traits of great leaders, as well as the 4 pillars that build businesses. Any other last questions, comments? I'm here for you as a resource.
Very bottom on the left, there are some comments coming in there.
Oh, great. And now I have it open. Thanks, Tony. Glad you enjoyed the presentation. And I'm glad you found it informative. Of course, being the coach I am, I'll always ask you to say, take that information and move it forward to action. Linda, I'm looking forward to next week as well, and I humbly thank you for all the support on the technical side to help us get here today. If everybody's good, we will close this out. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm in LinkedIn every day. You can also reach out to me directly at ivy@slatersuccesscoaching.com. I'm here to serve. I wish you all great success. Stay authentic, stay real, stay in your relationships, and stay moving forward. Stay consistent in those actions, and you too will join me in success. Thank you.